So cyberbullying is basically just bullying, but taking place over the internet, digitally. And Zermino's going to go over all those apps and the nitty-gritty of how it can sometimes take place without us even knowing.
So we want to just acknowledge the bullying policy that is in the parent policy guide, the student parent policy guide, which is available on the website. But what we want families to know most is that bullying, when it is performed with the intent or reasonably perceived intent of causing negative educational or physical consequences to the targeted student, interferes with the educational setting. And so that is when we become involved. All of this is, again, available on the website, but when it's directed at a student and it begins to harm the educational environment, that's when we want to become involved to protect the student so that school is a safe place, physically and emotionally.
And this is just more what was taken from the policy handbook, particularly like on the types of bullying that we can see, and cyberbullying, but that's all taken from the handbook. The part with cyberbullying is it most often takes place at home, but it's still negatively impacting the school environment, because if it's between two students, you know, if they have to sit in class with that person, or if they know they go to school with that person, or if something was spread to lots of people at school that they know, that can negatively impact their school day.
And I think Lori touched on this a little bit. Cyberbullying is different than other forms of bullying in that the information can get away from us so quickly. It can grow so fast, and it follows everywhere. One of the things that's covered in the digital citizenship curriculum is, hello, good evening.
Hi, Kevin.
Is the footprint that we leave. And so that's the scary thing about cyberbullying, is it can grow so big, so fast, and has just a much more tremendous impact on kids because they lose so much control.
So this is from a program, Safety in Action, which is really great. They have their whole website too. We just took this directly from them with permission. But anytime, you know, whatever you know is normal for your student, when you see something that's contrary to that, or something that's not normal for them. For instance, if they're on their phone all the time and that's normal for them, and then all of a sudden they don't want to be, that's a warning sign, because that's a change in behavior that we look for. Withdrawal, nervous about going to school, nervous about text messages, things like that. We just want to make sure not to ignore or be dismissive of that, because cyberbullying can be just as damaging, if not more damaging, than face-to-face bullying. And then we are 2 of the 4 student advocacy coordinators at in Norman Public Schools, and we're available to students to advocate. Initially, we were hired to respond to any type of sexual misconduct. But we also work with bullying, any other crimes. Anytime we have a student who's been a victim of a crime, those are the population that we serve. And we also work with other traumas. As a coordinator, we don't necessarily investigate the problem, but we help with the reporting process and help manage, like Angela was saying, to make the student as comfortable as possible and feeling safe while they're at school.
One of the ways that we do that is in our partnership with our school resource officers. So Lori talked a little bit about how we manage the school environment. Some of that can be looking at a student's schedule. So if they're seeing the offending student in the hallway, maybe we want to change passing periods. Maybe we want to find an alternate route, or maybe we want to have a student leave class a little bit early so that we can avoid that. There's lots of different ways that we go about that. But when the bullying or cyberbullying is continuing even after it's been addressed, sometimes it's necessary to involve law enforcement. Our partnership with our school resource officers is really helpful in kind of softening that idea for students for all families on both sides of the issues, because they've seen the officers in school. They pretty much know who they are. Oh yeah, I know who Officer Greenwood is. Oh, I've seen Savage. Yeah, I know that name. And so if we need to help a family make a report of law enforcement, a lot of times we can just bring everybody into our office and it feels a little less intimidating, and we can do that there. The most important thing we want you to know is a lot of times kids are really reluctant to report any incidents of bullying. They're afraid of retaliation. So if that is your child, please go ahead and contact us, because we can get creative in how we work on an incident. So most oftentimes we can protect them, and so they're not expecting that. There are things we can do. So if you'll just call us and say, my child is having an issue but doesn't want to come in and report it, let us work with you on that, because we really want school to be safe. I think Officer Zermino probably talked about most of this, and we want to be mindful of our time, but just really being mindful of when your child's behavior is changing, if they're quickly switching screens, laughing excessively, using accounts that you don't recognize. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think he covered.
I think we've covered everything.
Yeah. And all of that will be posted on the website to scroll back through later, along with all those links that are on there as well. So.
Most of these links are available on the Digital Safety and Citizenship link on the Norman Public Schools website. So if you just type in iTech on the Norman Public Schools website, you'll be able to get to all of this information. But please, if you have questions about your child being bullied or cyberbullied, please reach out to the advocates and let us help you and work with teachers and administrators and your family to make sure they're protected.